So in the new Assassin's Creed updates that are coming out over the next few months, Naoe and Yasuke are going to be able to share a couple of skills. So Yasuke is going to be able to do silent, non-lethal stealth takedowns, and Naoe will be able to do like a powerful drop kick. Now, I think this is really good because one of the problems I had with Naoe and Yasuke's dynamic is that it felt like an overcorrection of Evie and Jacob from Syndicate. And what I mean by that is that Evie and Jacob were too similar. Like they were almost basically the same character with a couple of small differences in late game skills. Evie was slightly better at stealth and Jacob was slightly better at combat. Naoe and Yasuke are completely the opposite. They're vastly different. And I think if you're going to have two protagonists in an Assassin's Creed game, you need to find a nice middle ground between those two extremes. Especially because the current dynamic between Yasuke and Naoe is heavily favored towards Naoe. Because at the end of the day, it is an Assassin's Creed game and you are going to explore and you do need to climb, it just makes playing as Yasuke less fun. And at the same time, it's still fun to play as Naoe in combat as well. So the incentives to play as Yasuke are quite limited. I think a really good example for the balance you want to strike between dual protagonists in this kind of game is Rikimaru and Ayame from Tenchu. Rikimaru is a little bit bulkier, a bit stronger. He can take more hits. He's a little bit slower. Ayame is a lot more acrobatic. She's faster. She can, output more damage quickly because of her speed, but she also can't take as many hits. But at the same time, neither of them lose anything that makes Tenchu special. They can both climb. They can both use a grappling hook. They can both use stealth tools. But playing as them does feel different enough to make them distinct as characters. Now, I'm not saying Naoe and Yasuke should have exactly the same abilities, like all the way through, because then you go back to having the Jacob and Evie problem. But I do think there should be a little bit of a crossover, and I think it makes sense for story progression as well. It makes sense that Naoe would teach Yasuke how to be more like an assassin, and Yasuke would teach Naoe maybe how to use a bow or how to use firearms. My cat's come to say hello. Sorry. So in future updates, I'd like to see maybe Yasuke learn how to do lethal stealth takedowns with the Wakizashi, learn how to break his fall with a roll, improve his parkour, let us just climb like relatively normally. He's a strong guy, he should be able to climb as well as probably Eivor, not as fast as Naoe, but still proficient. And then maybe he could give Naoe new ranged options, like he could teach her to use a bow, so she could have a short bow, like a Japanese short bow, like a Hankyu. He uses the Yumi, which is the long bow, but that would just be a little bit more crossover between. Do you agree? Yeah? Mowgli agrees.